think so. So I'll step out of the way.
Well, thank you, Erica. I appreciate you for having me here for the Lunch and Learn. Erica is a board member of Volunteer Owensboro, so thank you for that as well. So I'm going to start from the beginning, and I'm going to move kind of fast, and I won't hold y'all more than, did you say 3 hours is how long I had? 4, something like that? No, I have to be somewhere at 1, so I'm going to truck right along. I want to start right off the bat by telling you a story about how Volunteer Owensboro started. Some of you have heard this before, but it's just exciting for me because it's really where it all began. Wayne Morris over here is one of my co-workers. As you can see, he's doing some filming. So if you watch any of our videos on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, any of that, Instagram, it's usually he's behind the camera. So we try to promote volunteerism as much as possible. But anyway, Wayne and I, several years ago, I came off the road and started, I've always done music. I've done music for over 40 years now. And I wanted to get into some type of volunteering using my musical talents. So Wayne and I met up, and we instantly were like, yeah, let's start volunteering. Where are we going to volunteer? Well, we had a connection at the hospital, so we started playing there some. We were drawn to nursing homes, so we always went to nursing homes. We started playing at the Wendell Foster campus, and then we thought, you know what? Let's get in and play for some hospice patients. That's something that would really be great to be able to do, because everybody loves music, you know, some type of music. Not everybody likes the kind of music that we play, but anyway, we signed up as hospice volunteers, went through the training, got our little badges, the whole deal. And one of the very first visits we made, so you got to think about this. I had come off the road and I had done things in country music, toured with people like George Strait, Brooks and Dunn, Alan Jackson, some of the biggest country tours in America at that time, and doing big TV shows, The Tonight Show, Grand Ole Opry. It was not common. About every other month we would play on the Grand Ole Opry for something, Austin City Limits, and these huge shows. So this is what I came from, and I don't say that to brag at all. I say that out of gratitude that God gave me that gift to play and gave me that opportunity. But I came from that into all of a sudden walking into a patient's room at a nursing home, a hospice patient being absolutely scared to death. I played in front of crowds as big as 60,000 people. And I would be up there with no problem at all. And then I walk in this room with this one person, and I'm nervous, I'm shaking, I'm uncomfortable. We walk into this one room. It was one of the first visits we made. We went to a lot of nursing homes that took care of hospice patients. And so we walked in, introduced ourselves like we always had. And we didn't get any response from this lady. She was laying on the bed, her eyes were open, she was staring at the wall. And a lady in the room cleaning up said, guys, she hasn't responded. She's not eating or drinking or nothing. Basically, in a polite way, telling us, you know, you can go on to the next patient. And Wayne is a very good listener to God, and he told him, and he was obedient to that. And Wayne said, I think we ought to play, Randy. I was thinking, I don't think we should. This is crazy. And he said, I think we should. So I said, okay, well, let's play. We started getting our instruments out. Again, that lady cleaning up the room, she wasn't rude at all. She was politely just said, guys, she isn't eating, drinking. She's not even communicating with family, anything. But her eyes were open. And I look at Wayne, I'm like, what should we do? He said, we're going to play. I said, okay, we're going to play. Here we go. So we walk over and introduce ourselves with no response to this lady. She'd been unresponsive, obviously, for quite some time. We start to play Amazing Grace as the first song. I don't know why we chose Amazing Grace. That's what we started doing. And even through the very first verse of the song, we see her mouth start to move around a little bit. And we continue going, and, you know, going into the second verse, and, you know, her head's turned around and she starts to sing. And by the third verse, she's like, sits up in the bed. She's singing, knows all the words, had a beautiful voice. And I'm freaking out. I'm going to be honest with you. I was totally freaking out when this was happening. Yeah. And yeah, so it was saying, and then at the end of the song, she said, are you all going to do more? We was like, yeah, we're not going anywhere. we're here the rest of the day. We spent 30 minutes. She said, I like the old gospel music. I said, well, we know plenty of it. So that's what we did for the next 30 or 40 minutes, spent time with this lady. We left that day. My world was completely changed. And I tell people all the time, I don't know what the bigger miracle was, is that lady's awakening, because she may have never spoken again after we left. I have no idea. We never saw her again, never heard anything about her again. But I'm telling you, the miracle that day for me was God opening my eyes to the needs in our community and letting me know, Randy, I can use you to do great things if you allow me to do that. So that's what started, and then from there on, Wayne and I continued to volunteer, and we said, you know what? Our eyes were open all of a sudden. I feel like I lived in my little bubble, going to church, going to work, doing my kids' things, and I lived in my little bubble, and I feel like he just reached down and popped it, and all of a sudden I'm looking around everywhere all over Owensboro, and I'm seeing all of these needs. I'm seeing all of these awesome nonprofit organizations that are trying to fill those needs. And I'm seeing all these awesome people that I know personally that want to help people. They don't know how. So there we started. We just simply started with a website. We said, what can we do to connect all these great people, these great nonprofit organizations needing volunteers? And I'm a believer that we all are called to volunteer. We are all made to serve other people in some capacity, some way. So, and I don't think we're going to be fulfilled until we find that way. So we started with the website. We thought, let's just put on the website every nonprofit organization that needs a volunteer that we can think of. That way people can go to this one spot, find everything that they need. So that's where it started. We knew nothing about a nonprofit, didn't even want to, but lots of people were saying, oh, you need to become a 501c3, you can get grant money, sponsorship money, you can grow, you can reach more people. And finally we was like, whatever. So we did. We became a 501c3, and that is, in fact, what happened. We got more support where we were able to grow. But anyway, from there, from the website, which we didn't know anything about websites at the time, but we got some help when we started learning. From there, we were like, you know what? We have a recording studio. Let's start creating PSAs, public service announcements, for nonprofits for free of charge, and we'll send them to the radio station. So it's basically free promotion, right? So we was like, oh, great, let's do that. So we started doing that. We noticed on the website, not a lot of nonprofits back then, 15 years ago, had a lot of promotional videos. They had information on websites, but they really didn't have videos showing what they were doing. So we thought, we know nothing about video. I wonder how we can help. So we started to learn. We bought cameras, we bought editing software, and we watched a lot of YouTube videos and asked a lot of questions from everybody we knew that done video. And I'm going to tell you the miracle of that before I go any longer. We now have a TV show, Project Volunteer TV show, over the last 5 years that is a nationwide show that started right here in Owensboro from two people that never took a video class in their life. Now tell me that's not a God thing, a miracle right there. So we started creating these videos to promote nonprofits, to put on the website for them to use. We started what we call Club Volunteer, and that is taking people around from week to week. Like we would do a 5 or 6 week program where 15 or 20 people from the community could sign up, and myself and then a leader at the nonprofit, we would meet each week, say like Tuesdays at 6, for like 6 weeks at a different place to give them different opportunities to serve, do real volunteering so they could find their way to serve. We started radio shows. Cromwell Radio has always been a great partner with us in promoting volunteerism. So interviews, different things like that. We started a TV show at Time Warner. Do you all remember when we had Time Warner here? I know it's no longer, but when Time Warner had this, I came up with this idea watching, anybody in here ever watch Dirty Jobs with Micro? Okay, y'all know what that concept is about. I thought, why can't we do that with a nonprofit organization? Why can't some stupid person like me go into a nonprofit and we learn about that nonprofit, we show people watching, we learn about that nonprofit, and I actually do the volunteering work. I'm a volunteer in training. So we started that. It started here on local Time Warner, and then after a while, it grew, and KET picked it up. And then from there, NRB TV picked it up. That became a nationwide show, and they're still using the show today. We have 5 seasons of Project Volunteer. There's a lot of local nonprofits that are on there that a lot of you all probably are not even aware of. So the show grew from there. Group volunteering. This all happened organically. We started having people reach out to us, like groups and businesses and schools, saying, hey, we're interested in volunteering, but we don't know where to start. So we started connecting people with volunteer opportunities. Sometimes we would go with them, and sometimes we would just connect them. They would be like, on this day at this time for 2 hours, our company of 20 employees, we're going to shut down, we want to do something. So I would connect them directly with that opportunity. Now we have a page on our website for people to be able to go and find organizations on their own. So we don't get as many calls as we used to because people are finding that. They're connecting themselves to these different organizations and going there, which is great. There's no sense in us being in the middle if we don't need to be. We have created campaigns through the years. For just as an example, a few years ago, we did Battle of the Cans with the local school systems. And we had, I think, 12 schools sign up to do this. And between the 12 schools raised over 20,000 non-perishable food items for local food pantries. And then the winner we did an assembly for them. We got them a big trophy and all this cool stuff. So we create these campaigns. We did Be Change for the Child, which was promoting last year lots of different nonprofits that work with children. We just recently launched in the last few months a Feed It Forward campaign, and that's basically letting people know if you're having an event and you have leftover food, you know that you can legally take that to a local shelter and they will accept that food. There is a law out there that says if you do that in good faith, you're not going to get sued. So many people think, oh man, I'm not going to take these leftovers to a shelter. What if they eat something bad and, give them an opportunity to sue me? There is a law out there, I forgot the name of that, but there's a law to protect us in doing that. So we've been doing this campaign trying to educate people of all this wasted food from events that can be given to shelters. So from there, over the past couple years, we've really dove into more of the social media thing. We expanded from Facebook as our biggest platform, and then got on to Instagram. TikTok has been huge for us in the last couple of years, and of course YouTube. So now we create a lot of video, and you can go to any of those social media outlets and see the videos that we create. Just some of the shows. Now we do interviews with and a lot of you all have been in these interviews. We do interviews with directors and people from nonprofit organizations, just me and the director just talking about that nonprofit to learn. Simple, right? Do a lot of Facebook Lives, but we have tried to grow upon that to get more attention. So we started a couple shows we started. This one is probably my favorite. It's called The Good Deed Duel. And so the Good Deed Duel is usually me as the host. I challenge a community leader. Like one of them was Sheriff Brad Youngman. He went to a volunteer fire department with me, and we did a challenge together, right? So it's entertaining, but it's also people, get wrapped up in the competition between me and whoever that it is. We've had puppy races. We've done all kinds of things. We just recently did Sleep in Heavenly Peace, where we assembled a bed for a child in need. So people are seeing real volunteering and learning about real nonprofit organizations, but they get to see me act like an idiot in front of everybody and have this challenge, right? So we hope to hook them that way. And other shows we've done, Surprising Heroes, finding awesome people in our community, doing awesome things and surprising them and honoring them to try to inspire people. We need some inspiration. Anybody agree with me in here on that? Yeah? There's plenty of bad news, so we're looking for some good news. Volunteer shout out is when we find groups of people and we'll go there and talk to them. Why do you all volunteer as a group? And then we'll give them a little medal, just another way of promoting volunteerism, inspiration. Marathon Mondays have been a blast. We just kind of accidentally stumbled on this about a year ago when we went and played at 20 different nursing homes, assisted living facilities, places like Wyndham Foster with folks with disabilities. We went to 20 places in one day Wayne and I did, and played music at every one of them. We thought, this is a blast. We just nicknamed it Marathon Mondays. Like, sounds good. It's always gonna land on a Monday, and we're gonna do some type of marathon that promotes volunteering. So we've done all kinds of things. One day we went to 11 volunteer fire departments all in one day. We did blessing boxes. How many did we go to? 16, 18 that day?
18, yeah. I was thinking maybe 19.
So like 19 blessing boxes in one day, and we would show people, hey, we're here, and we're putting food inside this blessing box. Here's what a blessing box is, right? So Marathon Mondays is just us doing a lot of things in one day, and sometimes people were like, man, I watched y'all on that Marathon Monday, and I didn't know if y'all was going to get through all of that. So that excites me because people are talking about it, you know? I don't care if it is goofy. It's getting the word out there of our needs in our community. Ministry in Motion is another one we've started recently, and that's just basically finding churches and or Christian ministries that are out there on the streets getting it done and being active in our community in order to inspire other churches to do the same thing. Did you all know there's 150 churches in Davis County? Anybody know that? That's a lot of people that can be helping our nonprofit organizations. So why are they not? That's a hard question to answer. It's impossible for me to answer, but the way that I look at it, if we can educate and inspire them, show them what other people are doing, they can then be a part of those activities, or they can start something like that in their own church that might inspire someone in a church to say, you know what, they can do it, we can do it too. And we're going to we're going to try to be a part of some kind of nonprofit and or help people in our community, whatever that looks like. So those are some of the things we've done in the past. New for 2026, I'm very, very excited. We're going to be doing lots of things that promote youth volunteering. We're going to try to reach that next generation. And so we've done some of that in the past. For instance, the last 7 or 8 years, we have helped Davis County High School for their senior week put in nearly 300 seniors in one single day in a 2-hour period into about 30 different nonprofits. So we've helped people do that. I told you about the businesses we do that to. Well, that's usually like 10 or 20 people. This is 300. And we get excited about that because that's introducing those young people to volunteer opportunities. Now, honestly, it's their senior week. Do you think that they're going to be, they're like, I got to do this to graduate in a few days, right? I could care less. I want to be out of here, right? But there's got to be some of them walk away that day thinking, I had no idea that shelter existed. I had no idea this existed. Man, that was awesome to be able to serve that way. And they might not turn into a volunteer that day, but later on in life, they may do that, right? So focusing on the youth this year is what we really want to do. We're starting a new video series that will be on our social media, but also as part of Project Volunteer on NRB TV. We're also going to pitch this to some streaming networks. It's called The Kindness Kid. So it's basically the same idea of surprising heroes, but it's going to be young people doing awesome things in our community. And we're going to find these stories about these young people doing awesome things, and we're going to spotlight them. We're going to interview maybe their teachers and a parent, somebody from a nonprofit that sees this kid coming in. We're going to get those stories of this young person, and then we're going to set up a surprise and honor them. And the idea for that is to inspire other kids to say, hey, man, that's pretty cool. If they can do it, maybe I could do something like that as well, right? Club Volunteer, I spoke a little bit about that earlier. Club Volunteer for Youth. So I've been in contact with a lot of nonprofits over the past couple of weeks asking about this concept of, hey, you know what, if a church youth group, say they have 20 kids, and they would like to experience different ways to volunteer, they might set up, they might say, we're going to pick a Saturday and go to 4 places, right? Or they might say, you know what, on Wednesday night, instead of meeting and doing our Bible study, on Wednesday nights for the next 4 weeks, we're going to go to a different place and volunteer. That's going to look different for different people. And school clubs as well. We want to reach school clubs as well. that might look different, but the idea is for them to go and experience different ways to volunteer. Again, being introduced to other nonprofits and volunteer opportunities. We're going to do a poetry contest. I don't know exactly what that looks like yet, but we know we have a lot of artistic young people in our community, so that poem will be turned into a song, professionally recorded, and played on some radio stations, as well as a video created for that poem as well. Again, we want them to be able to dig in and study and learn about our nonprofits, about things that are needed in our community and volunteerism. So, so the poetry contest. We are Project Volunteers starting a podcast, and we're going to be actually on a lot of the platforms that play podcasts, but also it's going to be pitched to a lot of talk radio stations. So if you look into volunteering, there's not a whole lot of podcasts that just talks about volunteer opportunities and introduces people to different nonprofits, right? You have places like that maybe talk about a shelter, and you can learn all about homeless shelters. You might probably have a place out there that talks about food pantries and everything that they do, but there's not very many out there at all that covers a wide variety of different subjects and ways to serve and volunteer in our community. So we are working on starting that podcast. And when I say Project Volunteer and not Volunteer Owensboro, you have to think about two things in your head. Volunteer Owensboro is everything related to our community. Project Volunteer is national. It's the national TV. It reaches everybody. It might feature somebody from here in Owensboro, but it's not saying, hey, I'm here in Owensboro, I'm here at the center, come down here and volunteer at the center with us, because somebody in another state could care less. But if we want to learn about services like that broadly, it's a pretty good chance that most every community has a food pantry. A lot of them have a homeless shelter, right? A lot of them have different things, a Red Cross. A lot of them have a Habitat for Humanity, right? So you cover those topics like that are broader. Even though we're talking to someone local, this can be this is relevant in their community as well, right? So we are starting, we're going to try to start that food rescue program. I talked about Feed It Forward a while ago. We're just trying to educate people right now to simply just remember, hey, we had this gigantic event for my business and we have all this food left over. What are we going to do with it? Anybody want to take it home? No, I don't really know. We can take it to a local shelter. So that's trying to let people know about that. But to take that a step further, we're looking into a place called Food Rescue US, where we can start a chapter here. And it's really cool because what we can do is connect with these places that have a lot of events, say the Bluegrass Music Museum, say the Convention Center, say the River Park Center, just to use those as examples, right? Always having events, always having people come in, always having food, right? And we can connect with them and connect with these 5 shelters that I've already connected with, and there's probably others as well. One of them calls us up and says, hey, we got all this food left over. You can pick it up tomorrow between 10 and 11 a.m. We connect with one of these. Which one of you all wants this? I'll take it, right? So, and then we have this app where the volunteer can see this. It'll pop up as a notification, its own app, saying you can pick up at the convention center. We need somebody to pick up convention center tomorrow between 10 and 11 a.m. This is what all you're getting. This is the leftover food that you're getting, and you're going to take it to here. And it will show you a map on your phone of where you're at, where you're picking up, and where you're taking it. And so it's very simple. So a person can be like, that's literally only going to take me 15 minutes of my time. And I can take all that food to that place. So that's another thing we're going to be trying to launch in 2026. As well as we hear a lot, and I know there are a lot of you all from nonprofit organizations, we hear a lot about a shared calendar, all right? And what I mean by that is one place where if Volunteer Owensboro wants to have a fundraiser And then we schedule this fundraiser, and come to find out there's 3 other nonprofits that night having a fundraiser as well, right? I see a bunch of people shaking their heads. You understand. That's been talked about for years. So we are going to create, it's kind of set up like a Facebook, like a social media page where nonprofits can share resources. That's another thing I hear a lot. I was just talking to Harry at Patino Shelter the other day. He's talking about how they sometimes share food with the other shelters. And I thought, man, how cool is that? You know, all of us nonprofits can be doing that, sharing resources. And it'll have a calendar on there. So about this time of year, everybody can go and say, oh, we're going to have one. Oh, no, we can't do it on that date because so-and-so is having their big one on that date. And so hopefully that's going to help us as nonprofits network better together. Again, share resources. There might be a grant come along that you're like, you know what, this does not apply to us. We can't use this, but I bet somebody out there can. Stick it out there for other nonprofits. And again, a shared calendar. So not only can we stay away from other people's events, we can go there and support it, right? And not be at our own event.